Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, pod racing champion, the general of the Clone Wars, slayer of younglings. Alright, maybe I should just leave that last part out. But nonetheless, Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one of the Star Wars heritage. Today we're going to be covering him in Star Wars Legion. We're going to be learning how to pretty much paint him and not much else. I have decided to not do rules tutorials anymore. I feel like I get too many things wrong and it takes too long to edit. So from now on, we're going to be strictly focusing on painting, and I'm going to be leaving like the rules breakdowns to the people that really do that stuff well. Crabok, etc. Stuff like that. There's plenty of people on YouTube that I'm sure can really teach you how that works. So today we're just going to be breaking down how to paint Anakin Skywalker for the tabletop. We're going to have a good time. Let's get into it.
A couple months ago in my local city, I actually bought a Anakin Skywalker for Star Wars Legion, and he was pretty much already done. So this is him. Someone already pre-painted him, already did most of the work. So I think he's pretty good. I was thinking, should I just touch this up for the video? Because this is kind of going to be the one that you're going to be painting if you have the Anakin expansion. However, what I did was I had an extra Obi-Wan Kenobi body. So I have kit bashed and made a special Anakin Skywalker in his Clone Wars battle gear. So we're actually going to go ahead and paint this one today. So at the end of this painting tutorial, I might just touch up this one just so you can see what it looks like. But it's in the blacks, browns, and some grays. Now this guy was pretty liberal with the Nuln Oil, so it's very, very shadowy, but honestly, I really only think it's a touch up on the hands, maybe the lightsaber. So besides that, I think it looks quite good, but I do think this is just a blend of speed paints and also Nuln Oil over the whole thing. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to start this one fresh. I'm going to start painting it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to paint the cloth, which is a blue color. So I have some contrast paint, Leviathan blue, which is a dark kind of, just like a darkish blue. So I'm just going to go over that, and then I'm going to see where we're at. Once you're happy with the blue cloak, or it is drying, we're going to go ahead and hit the shoulder armor with some black Templar contrast paint. That will kind of give us the gray that we're looking for. Anakin's under armor, under fabric, I should probably say, is like a dark red, almost like a reddish, don't really know how to explain it too well, but it's not bright red, but it is a darker red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just mix some different colors with red and see if I can get something that's close to what he looks like. Because it's more like a bloodish red. So, and that's going to go in the V slit underneath the armor and the robes, also his arms and his legs. So not the leg armor itself, that's brown, but all those parts underneath the bits we've hit with the blue parts. And we've got a little bit of red on our nice blue areas that we painted before, but not to worry, we're actually going to go back very shortly and do some highlights on that. So the plan now is we're going to do the boots and the left arm all in brown. Now, spoilers, but Anakin actually got his hand chopped off in episode 2 Attack of the Clones. So that arm is actually going to be gray. So if you want to go ahead and hit that arm with some dark gray, I'm going to use some black Templar contrast paint on that arm specifically, and then all the other arms are going to be a dark brown. Our next step now is to do some highlights on our blue robe. The blue robe's looking a little bit saturated, so we're going to go ahead with some McCrag blue, and we are going to bring up all the raised parts of the cloth. This will kind of make the model pop a bit more on the table, and that's going to be our main goal for this step. All right, so now it's looking pretty good. It's all coming together. You really got to trust the process with this one, I got to admit. His hand did actually fall off, so I did super glue that back on. So I might need a little bit of paint shortly. Anakin just has a bit of a disposition to losing hands, it seems. So our next plan is we are going to mix some dark gray and put it all over his shoulder armor. So now that you put the like the black wash over it, you're going to have some really nice shadows, but we're going to bring up all the plate parts. So all the plates are going to be hit with some paint. As you can see, I've got a little bit of red there. So that's going to be our next thing to do. Next, we're going to be tackling a very tricky part, and that's going to be Anakin's face. Now, in the box, you get multiple faces. I believe you get like an angry face and a happier face. I've chosen the more serious, stern Anakin face for this one. So we're going to go over with the very, very watered down light coat of some skin tone. So I have some Kivsleb flesh I'll be using for this one. So just give it a whole go over. And then after that, we're going to be giving it a dose of a nice wash. Now, a lot of people use kind of reddish washes. I kind of find that brown washes have a little bit more good results to them, but I'm going to be using a Reichland Flesh Shade wash for his face after you've done the coat. Now, be careful not to do too much overdoing it, because Anakin is still very, let's just say pasty. You know what I mean? He doesn't get too much sun. So yeah, going to go ahead and do that. While we're waiting for the skin tone to dry, I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in the hair. So it's actually going to be the same brown as the boots and the left hand, which for me is Blood Reaver Flesh from Citadel. So I'm going to go ahead and just give that head a good old coat all over that hair, because we obviously don't want to see Anakin with those luscious grey and white locks. We want to see him with his big boy brown hair. So that's going to be the next thing as we're waiting for the skin tone to dry. We're not done with the hair per se, but while we wait for that to dry, we're going to be going back to the face. We're going to be doing probably one of, if not the trickiest thing on this whole model, and that will be dotting the eyes. So I'm going to try and get this as good as I can on camera, but most likely you will be missing the eye and hitting the eyelids, the brow, blah, blah, blah. We're actually going to be going over and doing a little bit more like flesh tone on the face to bring up the colors a little bit more. So if you miss, it's all right, okay? Just trust in the process. Just go slow, do the best you can. So yeah, make sure that your paintbrush is not too loaded with paint, because if it does, it's just going to ball in the it's just going to like make a little paintball in the actual eye socket there. So just go ahead, dot those eyes, take your time. There's no rush, okay? While we're waiting for the eyes to dry, we're actually going to go ahead and put some silver onto the hilt of the lightsaber. A lot of people like to do their own silver, which isn't just like metallic silver. It's like, they bring up the colors slowly. I don't think I'm that good, and I also don't have that much time. So that's why we have Citadel Runefang Steel for the lightsaber there to give it a nice good gray on there. So that's going to be our next task while that's all drying. Okay, on second thought, my Runefang is all dried up, so we're not going to be using that. We are going to be using some lead belcher, the classic trusty lead belcher. Never lets me down. Now I know you're thinking we're going to do the lightsaber blade next, but no, we're actually going to go and make a nice brown wash all over the hair. So that'll give us the kind of shadows we want. And once the shade is all dry, we're actually going to go ahead and do some highlights with Blood Reaver Flesh, just the normal brown we've been using. Now, the reason we're going to do this before we do the highlights on the face is that if there's any brown that gets on the face, we're going to be touching that up as well. Because otherwise, if you do the highlights on the face and then the brown hits the face, then blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of why we're doing it in this order. So go ahead and put some good brown wash all over that face. Personally, I'm going to be using some Reichland Flesh Shade. Actually, I'm going to be using some Agrax Earth Shade, I think. I think that's the way to go, because it's just a little bit darker. We don't want it to look too samey. So I thought that we were actually going to do some highlights on the hair to bring it back up. But honestly, I think it's looking pretty much perfect. So I'm very happy with that. Our next two things we're going to do is we're actually going to dot the eyes. So we're going to put two little black dots, hopefully facing forward to where he's looking. And then we're going to go ahead and using the same flesh tone we used as the base color, we're going to go over very, very gently, not too liberally, just over all the areas to kind of bring up that color once again. But yeah, not anything too crazy. We're just going to do like forehead, the arch of the nose, cheeks, jaw, stuff like that. But not over the whole dang thing, because we did put the nice shadows on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So when you're dotting the eyes, just make sure you take as much time as possible. It's there's no rush once again. And if you get this part wrong, you know, as with everything, you can always put a little bit more paint on there and fix it up. But this is going to take a little bit more time to fix up than most things. So let's go ahead and give it your best shot. So I've done a little bit of highlights. We've got his eyes dotted, and now we're going to do some eyebrows. So let's go ahead and get some brown and yellow paintbrush. Here you can also touch up any bits of hair that you might have gotten some skin tone on as well. So just go ahead and do that. My eyes aren't perfect, it seems, so I might even go ahead and dot a little bit of black on that right eye and a little bit further down, but it doesn't look too bad when he's like looking down. He looks pretty angry, but I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Why not? Now, great news, you've done the hardest part. So his face is all done. He's looking pretty good too. It's probably one of the best faces I've ever done. So, like I said, I just took my time, and it's looking pretty great. So, next thing we're going to do is we are actually going to put some stuff on the base. I figure we'd get started on the base now. That way it can dry, and by the time it's dry, we're ready to paint it. Now I'm going to be doing the same base as Obi-Wan because I want to be able to put Anakin side by side with Obi-Wan, both in their Clone Wars battle suits. So yeah, it's been a dream of mine since I was a young child. So we're going to go ahead and put some Astro Granite on the base here. I am a pretty big fan of Astro Granite. I just think it kind of does what it needs to be done and adds a little bit of nice 3D texture without doing too much. So just go ahead and add some Astro Granite on there. And then we're going to go ahead and touch up the lightsaber blade. So we're going to go ahead and give it a nice blue sheen. I actually have started putting a nice white line down the lightsaber blade as well. Kind of makes it pop a little bit more, but you don't have to do this, but I definitely do think it adds a little bit extra to the model. While that's all dry, we're going to do a bit of a brown shade on the boots, the left hand, and the belt to kind of give it a little bit more detail on there. Because, you know, all the shade goes into the crevices, kind of makes it pop a little bit more. Because I was just looking and I'm thinking the browns all kind of look a little bit flat besides the hair. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there because we are going to be painting the Astro Granite a different color. So we kind of want to do this step now instead of having to worry about it later. Now, like I said, lately I've been doing a nice white line all the way down my lightsaber blades lately, and I think they've been looking pretty good. We're about to do a little bit of a cool technique here as well. I was thinking we'll do a white line down the blade, and then we might actually do some white highlights on his cloak that's near the lightsaber to kind of show that the light is reflecting off the blade and onto the cloak itself. So only a little bit, but enough to make it kind of look like it is, you know, a big cohesive model where lights are kind of bouncing off each other, etc., etc. So starting off with the blade and then with the cloth highlights. The Astro Granite is now all dried, so we're going to go ahead with some XV88 and give it a good old liberal dose all over the whole thing. So we're going to make it nice and brownish, orangish, and that way it'll fit in with the rest of our clone troopers and Obi-Wan Kenobi Commander. While your XV88 is drying, let's get some black on that base rim. So I like to make sure that all my base rims are black so they all look cohesive, but you can do whatever color you like. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit that with that now. Now, while your black base rim is drying, I'm going to just add a little touch to the base. And I'm just going to add a little tuft of grass. So just using a little bit of super glue, I'm just going to dot it on the grass. And I'm just going to drop it at there at Anakin's feet to to add a little bit more to the base without, cluttering it up too much, because you still want your eyes focused to be on the model, so you don't want to add too much to the base, in my opinion. But if you want to add tons of stuff, go right ahead.
So now, after all that blood, sweat, and tears, you have a fully painted and ready to go Anakin Skywalker for Star Wars Legion. Thank you very much for watching the video. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It means a great deal to me. We have plenty of other things we could be covering. We can be covering in the future, I should say. So anything you'd like to see covered for Star Wars Legion, please leave it in the comments below. I do hope you've enjoyed the video. And I think next time we might be covering the Death Troopers for the Galactic Empire. I've been looking forward to painting these guys up for a long time. So we're going to be covering them in the next video, I believe. So I hope to see you there. It should be a bit of fun. So I'll see you next time.